what it means to be an Indian. I personally feel in every product that I make, it cannot not be Indian because I am Indian. If I create it with sincerity and honesty, there will be Indianness in the product that I make. I am the only customer I create.
Why do we need to think of the West? Why can't we think of India and design for Indian community?
Unfortunately, our design education, our aesthetic education is completely Western.
Yes.
We have never been taught the Indian vernacular aesthetics at all. In fact, we look down on it, But
what do you think is Indian design? Point one. Secondly, what do you suggest or wish, for that matter, the direction that it should take?
the concept of the sari in itself as a 9-yard cloth, that's Indian design. What manifestation it takes, whether it's a beautiful Bhagalpuri silk with just the weave, or it's got jari, it's got this, it's got that. Now, for me, that is epitome of Indian design. In the business, you want to be a good business or you want to be a big business? And the paths are different. A good business can become big, but it has a function of time.
When did this guy happen?
So this guy is another interesting story.
So Mukul, welcome to Creative Spark Plug. Creative Spark Plug is a black book of creative journeys, and we speak with creative individuals and record their stories. We believe it gives insight into creative lives, inspires youngsters, and nourishes the ones who are feeling challenged. Everybody's journey is unique, and Mukul Goyal happens to be my first employer. I interned with him. I did my final year project with him. I got my first job with him. We did not have a fallout. We had a breakup. That's how it was, one would probably say. He was also my first mentor. If there was anybody who helped me hold on to how design as an education translates itself into relevance in real time. And if I had any hand holding there, that has been Mukul. In fact, what I learned with Mukul in his studio is still something that's intrinsic to me in my way that I think and approach design. So in a nutshell, he made design real for me. So that way he also plays the role of a mentor, or my first professional mentor for that matter. We will be having a conversation about Mukul's journey. I am privy to some, but there's a lot that happens when it comes down to what Mukul does. And we'll inquire into that today. Also, personally, I find him inspiring from the point of view that I have been a part of his journey when he was just coming up in some sense. And that's a beautiful story. That's a lot of learning. That's inspiring, encouraging to me as well. So 25 years down the line, I'm back to covering his story. And this is where we start. Rajesh, to you.
I think we'll start with sir. So
I would like if Mukul is great.
Okay.
No, sir, please.
Sure.
It just puts me off. You don't want me sitting like this.
Mukul, I know you're a Fauji kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, uncle was a Fauji. I've had the
from
privilege.
the Air Force. Yeah.
So you've kind of grown up everywhere.
Kind of. Yes.
Right.
So that's how I can call myself Indian.
But it'll be nice for you to throw light on where you started and how did design happen? Because somewhere in between, it wasn't design, it was something else.
So, you grow up in a Fauji environment. My father was getting transferred every year. And by the time I finished my 10th, I would have gone, or 12th, I would have gone through 10 schools, So you grew good at adapting in different environments. You're almost like by the time you make a friend, you've lost one, And there was not the days that you can keep in touch with anyone. You lost touch. At best, you wrote a letter, but, you lost even touch of writing letters beyond a point. So you really were adapting to new situations all the time, And I think that's a great ability. You were one day you were in Karnataka, the other day you were in Tamil Nadu, next day you're in UP, or you're in Calcutta, or Barakpur, or Tezpur. So you're literally understanding that there are so many languages around you and you still can get over it, So that's how most Indians get by. Oh, chai. You just do a sign language. You get by not knowing the language, but he's part of you. There's the understanding, and I think that's so innate somewhere. And so that's how we all grew up. And of course, then I finished 12th from Lucknow, and then, as is the want in those days, I didn't do anything in 12th, but next year I studied a bit harder, promised myself. And I went to IIT Kanpur to study engineering. I spent 4 years there. So that's where I started nurturing what they call a hobby.
Right.
I hate that word now, but an interest. Let me put it this. There was an inkling in art. There was something that, triggered my thing. I'd started doing a bit of drawing and things like that. Now, when I went to IIT, of course, the ecosystem is completely different. But they have something called HSS. In our days, used to be called HSS, which is the liberal arts part of the IIT education. So you had to take one course in liberal art, whether it was psychology, economics. There was a course on Introduction to Indian Art.
Right. In IIT Kanpur.
In my second semester, I took the course on Introduction to Indian Art.
Right.
So that was a little more formal training. During that course, we made a trip to Khajuraho. A young 19-year-old boy going to Khajuraho. All senses were, aroused.
I feel you.
Yeah. So not only the erotica, that was one part, of course,
Sure.
but beyond erotica, the sensibility. I don't know what ticked inside me. And I'll tell you, Khajuraho just blew me out completely. And I think it just turned on the button in me somewhere. And it's one of those things. There are many buttons that get switched on in certain times of one's lives. Khajuraho was one button, definitely.
Right.
I was on a high. So I had an engineering kida. This joined the bandwagon, And somewhere I even thought I'll give up engineering midway and become an artist.
Right.
But I said, okay, let me just finish it. And somewhere finished it and then found my way into design because I wanted to be an artist, but then I wanted engineering to be a part of it. And somewhere I landed up at NID,
Yeah. Yeah.
And just for a random, that was another story altogether. It's a long story, but how I landed up at NID. But I landed up there.
I know that he finished his metallurgy. You worked for Aisha for a while.
Yeah, my first job with Aisha Gujarat, yeah.
Do you have shares of Aisha?
No. It went public when I was an employee. I could have bought. But you know what? What was my first salary at Aisha?
Tell me.
As a graduate engineer trainee, what they call management trainees, was 1,800 rupees.
That too from IIT Kanpur.
Yeah, but that's what we all got hired for. 1,800 rupees was what? So when Hindustan Lever hired at that time, was hiring for 2,000 rupees.
What were other college people getting paid?
So if you
IIT
joined the
Kanpur?
management program, everybody was on the equal, no? There was no difference. If you came from a Punjab engineering college or you came from IIT Kanpur, it didn't matter. You were part of a group.
Yeah.
So you were hired together. It's not a differentiating parameter there.
So what course did you do in IIT Kanpur?
I did metallurgical engineering.
Metallurgy.
So not that, after 25 years, I find myself doing metal. It was not intended. It is just, it happened. I discovered my love for metal many, many years later.
Which year did you graduate from IIT?
1987.
And you were in your 1990s, you were already at NID.
So 87, I graduated from there. I joined NID as a student in 89. So 2 years.
When did you get your ESD?
ESD I got in 92.
After NID?
When my first job here in Delhi.
Right. And when did you crash?
95.
95. Your recovery was a year at least.
No, so I went off to Milan, no? In the recovery process itself, I went off to Milan.
Process, when you were having only barley with your face wired.
Suji.
So, what is the interesting story about how you ended up at NID? What pamphlet did you encounter?
So, you know what? All of us, what is our first anchor? Our first anchor is our alma mater. If you run into trouble, you run back to your alma mater.
Yeah.
It's like your home of sorts, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking, engineering mere bas ka nahi. I want to do something with art. And so, at IIT Kanpur, they just started a department where they had graphics computing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe यार ये graphics computing मैं ही कर लेता हूँ. ठीक है? So I took a couple of days off and I went back there and I met the prof who was running this graphics thing. And I said, I'm interested in art. I'm an alumni from here. And so he said, yeah, come, we'll do some interesting work together and all that. So I promptly went back, left my job. They were very unhappy. And I came back to IIT Kanpur. He says, you left your job? I said, yeah. He says, but I can't hire you. Yeah. You're from metallurgy. We are mechanical engineering. Okay. औकात में रहना. Obviously, I was foolish. I said, oops, अब क्या करें? मैं तो नौकरी छोड़ दिया. बोला कोई बात नहीं. अच्छा, तुमको एक जगह पता है NID करके है अहमदाबाद में. He says, हमारा ना वहाँ का एक कंप्यूटर डिपार्टमेंट है. वो हमारा MOU है. कैसा MOU है? क्या MOU तो पता नहीं. MOU क्या होता है, क्या करता है? So I'll give you a letter of recommendation, okay? You take this and you go and meet somebody there. They'll do something for you if you're interested in all this. Maybe they'll help you.
Right.
तो अपना क्या है? वो चिट्ठी लिया, घर गया, फिर अहमदाबाद चला गया. Armed with one letter, this is the ex-student of IIT Kanpur is interested in art. वो चिट्ठी नहीं है यार. I should have kept it.
Yeah, you should have framed it and kept it there.
तो वो चिट्ठी लेके मैं अहमदाबाद चला गया. अहमदाबाद गया, so I met one doctor, Professor Parmar. He took me to one room. The room was no more than 10 feet by 10 feet. You enter, there's Macintosh computers, okay? Those छोटू box computers जिसमें hard disk लगता है, floppy disk नहीं, hard disk लगता है. And वो 5 उसमें, वो खाली उसमें वो चलता है, type design. Only type design.
Right.
They do perfecting their types. So only graphic designers working on, not even students, projects. Because like NID was designing languages, fonts for State Bank of India across the country. They did all that. So that type design was happening there. And one machine, जिसके ऊपर वो प्लास्टिक का कवर नहीं चढ़ाते थे, DOS machine, line close, says, we don't know what to do with this. You know how to run this? Yeah. So I'd only heard of DOS. We had worked in IIT Kanpur. We had one course in computers, which was on the mainframe soup computer of DEC 10. And we had done Pascal programming. उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं आता था. वो भी क्या input output किया, खत्म था नहीं. Fortran नहीं. The next generation, the Pascal.
Right.
I said, yeah. So he says, you know what? You're an engineer. Yeah. Okay, so-called engineer. So, product design students need to understand the principles of engineering without knowing the equations. अभी कुर्सी पे बैठा है, टूटेगा नहीं टूटेगा, ये काम, you have to feel structures. You can't do calculations, structural calculations and all that. So can you do something on this computer which can teach them that? I said, yeah. I didn't know that the world of computer-aided design education had not started. We are talking about 1988. There was no Windows in anywhere. Only Macintosh computers had what is called Windows. But computer-aided design education hadn't even surfaced in the world.
There was no terminology.
Nothing. It didn't exist. हमने बोला, okay, how long? 2 months I'll do it. तो बोला, okay, आ जाओ, कितना पैसा? 2,000 रुपये. बोला, अच्छा, आपको कमरा देंगे, आपको यहाँ पे कमरा दे देंगे, आप आओ, रहो, 2 महीने में तैयार करके दो.
So you went as an employee at NIT.
हाँ, like a project.
He went with a chitti
हाँ,
of recommendation.
But he got paid also. For
Yeah, he got a project for 2 months and now he's starting CAD in NIT.
Okay, so I came back, I went to that bookstore in CP, वो बहुत सारा कंप्यूटर का किताब रखता था. I forget the name. Some university भी उनके नाम से चालू हुआ उसके बाद. There's a bookstore, okay. When they picked up all this C programming, तब तक C आ गया था. Pascal was old. I was told C had more graphic front lines. And you could program with C on DOS. That's only my hearsay, okay? Went and picked up some
I
massive
remember
books.
doing this when I was
Okay.
in school.
So I picked up those books, picked up my cassette player, took my trunk, went back to NID. और वो girl hostel में मेरे को कमरा दे दिया. There's a visiting faculty room in the girls' hostel at NID. So I was put up there. तो शाम को
months.
मेरा जथरोटल चल रहा है और मैं सी किताब पढ़ रहा है. संडे समझ मुकुल, what are you doing? गया शाम का सारा.
And please understand, there is a background context to this. Our man has moved places. So by default, even when he hit his teens, he could only possibly have a short-term relationship. Because वो तो पीछे छूटने वाला था. अगला destination अंकल जी कहीं और. गुजरात तो सीधा पता नहीं कोयम्बतूर.
So I started attending. I said, boss, मैं तो formal education से आया. Design is heuristic education. मतलब feeling ये वो. Feeling तो आता नहीं है. So I said, I'll need to attend these classes. I was given formal permission to attend classes in product design to understand what they're learning, to be able to replicate it. Meanwhile, I'm learning how to program favorably. क्या होता है DOS पे कैसे program. Cause and effect of programming समझ रहा हूँ मैं. So anyway, I even learned how to switch on the PC first there. So I attended the classes. I was spending time with students.
Mukul,
समझ में आ गया मेरे को कि this is what I want to do in my life. Okay.
Right.
But in 2 months' time, after having attended the classes, and the faculty were not liking it because I was spending too much time with the students. And you put me up in girls' hostel. So they're good friends. They're all good friends, you know, in good taste. But yeah, the fact is, in 2 months' time, all I had was an algorithm. And a sample program कि ये ना, it was a diving board. कि ये डाइविंग बोर्ड है, ये बाहर निकलता है, ये बंदा इस पे चल के आता है लाइक अ स्टिक फिगर, उस पे चल के आके खड़ेगा, उस पे कूदेगा. सो व्हाट आर द वेरियस पैरामीटर्स दैट यू कैन मैनिपुलेट फॉर द ड्राइविंग बोर्ड टू वर्क. सो इट वाज अ proof of concept that this will work. So the guy can strengthen the diving board, he can reduce the length of the board, he can make the man thinner. 3-4 variables, and each variable had a input output.
Right.
So that was my test program, and I had an algorithm कि ऐसे काम करेंगे तो ये सारा बन जाएगा. But they said, Mukul, that's all you could do in 2 months. You better pack up and leave from here. तो मेरे को बाहर निकाल दिया. Basically, they said we don't have place because they didn't like my being there. All, you know, in all, they didn't like me being there, so I was asked to leave. I said, fine. मैं वापस दिल्ली चला गया. फिर a friend of mine who was from IIT Kanpur knew somebody else from IIT Kanpur, and they were starting a imaging company in Bombay for films. I'm talking about 87, 88 again. Yeah. So some IITians and film guys were getting together to start special effect company. Okay. That's again way ahead of its time for computer-aided special effects for films. बोला जा ज्वाइन कर ले. ठीक है. Well, I had nothing left in life. I was exploring. तो again बोरिया बिस्तर उठाया और बॉम्बे पहुंच गया. I joined an ad filmmaking company. तो वहां पे I was helping from audio recording to shoots to getting permission to shoot on the road. तो पुलिस वाले के ऑफिस में बैठना, ये करना. I was doing everything. So it is great. I spent 8 months there. I was staying at YMCA near Regal Cinema, you know, right there, Kolaba.
So meeting all the big stars of that time. At least getting to see.
Some, you know. Yeah, advertising films is advertising films, okay. So met some of them. And but I realized, boss, ये ना film business मेरे बस का नहीं है. It takes a lot of sucking up. So, but my boss said, yeah, why are you leaving? You're doing well. We'll make it big in films together and all that. By that time, I gave NID ka exam back. And I gave Bombay also. IDC.
I deployed. Yeah.
IDC. Because there were only 2 programs which would take me. And that time they used to pay you for post-graduation of 2,000 rupees a month. Again,
Which you were earning
Then
while working in.
because the government at that time needed to promote postgraduate studies in design. So we were getting paid stipends. And so I got through NID and IDC. Of course, I went to NID because I'd been there, had made friends there. So I went back to NID. Of course, they didn't let me in very easily. Well, the same people who threw me out were sitting on across the They were sitting across the table because interview was big number of marks to get in.
Do we know any of these characters over there?
They were all my teachers eventually, and I learned so much from them.
Any names that we would know?
Aditi Ranjan was on the board.
That's late MP Ranjan's wife.
Aditi Ranjan was on the Pulin Garg was the legendary guy. He was from IIM Ahmedabad. He was a psychologist. He used to be on the board of all interviews and he used to make people cry. Pulin Garg is legendary in those times. Okay.
Pulin Garg, I do not know, have a face to the name.
But Pulin Garg, you ask anybody about Pulin Garg, he'll tell you.
Right.
He made and broke careers. Because the entry point to NID after you finished all your exam, the interview carried a lot of marks, wherein they determine your ability to become a student, apart from the other things.
Right.
Do you have it in you to learn?
So NID happened. Now you're in NID.
Yeah, I'm back at NID and I in the throes of things, trying to understand, trying to learn how to draw a line, how to, understand the visual medium, understand the physical medium. So you go through the years, just 3 years, so 2 years happened just like that.
Sure.
And so 2-3 things happened at that point of time. I think, the key little moments,
Right.
I discovered my love for old objects because they were talking to me. Underneath one of the bridges on the river in Ahmedabad, Sabarmati River, there used to be a weekly Sunday market of they used to sell old objects and I would go there. So I started feeling that some of these objects are talking to me. And a senior of mine, now a very, very dear friend, Sudhakar, who's Bangalore-based.
Sudhakar who?
D. Sudhakar.
Right, I've heard the name. I again don't have a face.
He's teaching in one of those colleges. He runs the design program there. He was working in leather. And my love for leather picked up. And I started creating those, I take old daru ka bottle, which you had to dispose of anyway because you're in Ahmedabad. And I started covering them up with leather and, I started working with my hands. And I found great joy in creating things, value adding. What's a value addition? I didn't know those terms, but I was doing something, I was crafting something, I was making something. So I started loving leather. My objects started talking to me somewhere. I was at least hearing some whispers. I didn't hear everything, but yeah. So some love signs coming up.
Right.
So those 2-3 things happened. And then I finished and I went for my final graduation project in Tata Exports in Devas, near Indore. Again, one boondocks of a place, but steeped in excellence, making the best leathers. But the products were basic and boring, but the leathers were the best. They had a tannery right there. So in my training, I spent 1 month in the tannery only. So understanding the material, feeling it, I could tell a kid from a goat, from a buff, from a cow by feeling it in their unprocessed condition as what is called the wet blue.
Yeah.
I fell in love with them. At that age, you're making a bag. You want that bag to do everything. It has 30 pockets. This pocket for this pocket for that pocket for this. And then you fucking open it and then you don't know. Many years later, you have a jacket which has 6 pockets. You can't find a wallet. You can't find where you put the ticket, man. So, the thing of one object trying to do everything was what we came out with. thought every object is a super object. That VCR came, it had 30,000 functions. You don't know how to operate it. You use 3 functions, but we still wanted it. So it was that age where I was thinking, what is product then? So I made bags. It was a humbling experience. To understand, the best bag has 2 pockets. Only, you don't need to put 20 pockets into a bag to make it good. It has to feel good. So all that started happening, that process of understanding, feeling. So I made a small range of bags. So, okay, one must understand the dynamics of the time there. You're in early 90s, 1991, 92. India was doing brilliantly in leather. Okay, that's the time. Everything these factories turned out was getting exported. Okay, what was the business case then? A wooden box with leather cover and those attache type suitcase. That is your office bag, period. Everybody carries only that. Open it.
Yeah, I remember those.
That's the only office bag any sensible executive will have. VIP started making plastic ones like that.
My dad used to have one of those.
VIP started making plastic ones that size.
Correct. Attache is just called.
Attache. CHE with a hyphen there.
Ab desi ho to attache hi banega.
If you want to add a little style to it, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
But that's what it was. Nobody carried flexible bags, nothing. So I started seeing what can we do with it. So there was research, there was this, that, like a normal graduation
sure.
project. You have to do this, interviews, psychographics, and demographics, all of that.
Yeah.
So I created something, shot it, and I wanted to continue working in leather. Abhi naukri kidhar mile?
You're still doing training there.
I was to 6 months in a graduation project. It's the final project that you have to do before when you have to present it to a jury to.
And was high design there at that time?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
It was the only job. So there was no way to connect with high design, no. So I took a train and went to Pondicherry. Knocked the doors. Said, this is who I am. This is what I've done. This is my graduation project. Put this thing, document. Document. This is my document. And I'm looking for a job. And I said, we have no openings for you. I was heartbroken. So I came back to Delhi. I came back all the way back to Delhi, Then I joined a studio in Delhi, product design studio. That's where I met Bala, Avik Sarkars. By then, I had started, that bug of making things was continuous.
Right.
I was making. I discovered, my father was the epitome of Indian jugaad.
Mm-hmm.
My mother was the epitome of an Indian homemaker, crochet, stitching, macrame, this, that. So she had that touch and he had the jugaad touch, Every switch in the house had color coding with nail polish. This is for fan, this is for light, this is for outside fan. So tha. चल रहा है वहाँ पे. So I came back.
Permanent marker नहीं था इसलिए nail polish. It takes harder to come out.
So he had a box full of old switches. घर में वो switch, that time, you could mix match the switches to repair that. They had those sockets. अगर एक का screw गायब हो गया ना तो दूसरे से screw निकाल के. So this box full of switches and old electrical like bulb sockets and all that for home repair, no? So it's a big dabba, blue colored surf ka dabba, tin, So it was a round dabba which had all of that, 2-3 dabbas full of those. And I probably one fine day was probably looking for something to repair something, and there were not things that we were allowed to touch.
Yeah.
But anyway, I opened it and I opened a can of worms. क्या हुआ कि उसमें से ऐसे चीज निकला. I said, wow, this is beautiful. Then I opened some of them. See, the development of a socket for the, to take the socket for a plug, if was a brass piece, which is a development. The moment you open it and flat it had a different form. It started looking like deer to me, like fish to me. I started creating jewelry out of those junk parts.
Okay.
Now, this is another story which starts coming up. I'm already working on leather by myself, and here is
Your father's
junk
story.
box, and I find this, and I'm living in this little garage, and I lock the doors and work, and I smoke away, and they don't like. That's the other problem of life, but it is what it is, and so I am doing that. So I started doing that now. See, my friend Nikki,
I've heard this name before.
Nicholas, Nikki,
Yeah.
Goa.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was from Baroda originally.
Right.
He had dropped out of NID. He was in animation and he dropped out. And we had spent a lot of time in Bombay together, infamous times in
Right.
Bombay together. And he came to Delhi and started working in a place called People Tree.
People tree, Origit.
He started working there. Then I would go now and then to meet him, and there's this old curio shop deep selling all kinds of things. So I made those jewelry. I'm showing it to Nikki. He says, "Why don't you sell it from here?"
Nice.
I said, "Fine." So I kept a few pieces and they start sold. We're like, और बना देते हैं. So I was making jewelry, I was making leather bottles, I was smoking up. That was life. I was almost a hippie living in Gurgaon, but that was how it was life. My parents were extremely worried. IIT गया, फिर उसके बाद
नौकरी छोड़ दी.
NID गया. So in between, when I was going from IIT to NID, I told my father, before I went to IIT, back, I had a big showdown with my father. And she said, why have you left your job? Yes, I want to be an artist too. She's an engineer, Fauji father. Basic worldviews in life are set.
Your roots go back to which city?
See, my father's roots belong to Rajasthan.
Rajasthan.
But he never lived there because his father is in the railways.
Okay.
But he eventually did his engineering from Bombay, from VJTI then, and my mother's side of the family is from Mussoorie.
Okay.
Originally from Meerut, then moved to Mussoorie and all of that.
But how the surname Goyal? Because
Goyal, see, Marwadis, no?
Okay. I thought it was associated with UP and...
No, it's all over.
Okay.
So there are Goyals from Rajasthan also.
And uncle was in technical side of Air Force?
Technical. He was an engineer, no? Maintenance. He trained on Sukhois and MiGs and all of that.
Okay.
So I told him, and he then said, you know what? Okay, you don't want to be an engineer, fine. Why do I am like your friends,
The reason why I asked you all this, and now I can connect the...
So do I am.
I had the
First
same
he had said
problem.
I am. No, I said I am. No, I don't want to do I am. Of course, to be a manager. You know? Then he said, finally he said, okay, go abroad also. Okay. Like he was first dead against me going abroad because of whatever previous his mental makeup was. Says, go abroad. Okay.
But do something.
But what is this?
Artist
Because my friends would come home. They were all studying for IIMs. They were studying in IIT Delhi and they would come home. And my father would say, कितने अच्छे बच्चे, तू अपने आप को देख. You know what came over me? I said to him, you know what? Give me 2 years. If I don't do anything in the end of 2 years, whatever you tell me, I'll do. But give me these 2 years. I tell you, that was providence. They laid off my back. So through some friends, they said, you know what? There's this company making jewelry. Do you like to go for a job? I'm making just this little jewelry I was making out of for fun, from broken electrical parts. One thing I've done in my life is I've not bothered. I said, chalo, interview dekhe aate hai. And this kind of care for nothing kind of thing, agar koi opportunity hai, dekh ke aa jate, kya hoga? And I think I went quite far just saying, acha, let's do it, not thinking too much. So I went and met this guy who had set up an Italian company called Il Gioiello di Firenze, had 100% EOU here to make things here and send it back to Flores. Making things out of Zamac, which he knows what Zamac is, but zinc alloy stuff, fashion jewelry. But primarily their job was to make brass and other ornaments for Italian fashion designers. They would make big buttons for Valentine, for Gianfranco Ferré. They were making big stuff. And so it was a production place. So he says, there was no designer there. So you have to assist the Italians. So Italian designers were makers. They were artisans who came here to teach locals. You know, they're like Africa में गए workshop बनाने के लिए, वैसे India में आ गया workshop. So I joined. अच्छा हाँ ठीक है पैसा दे
2000
हाँ नहीं अभी मार्केट वैल्यू है अभी 40,000
Wow.
That time was good salary.
Yeah,
that
very
was
good.
good
Yeah,
salary.
it was
Jump,
92.
jump is crazy, huh?
So I'm 40,000 I'm talking about. It was 1993, 94.
That's damn good money.
Good money. Decent money.
2000 to 40,000.
2004 in 5 years.
Yeah.
So I joined two fathers, friend. But Mr. Yogaraj was a legendary company maker. He brought in, Perfetti India's brought in by him. Now it's a huge company, you know, Perfetti. Chewing gum.
Yeah.
Chewing gum, candies,
Yeah.
the works, okay. L'Oreal India was brought in. He was basically a guy who brought in companies. At that point of time, there was this bringing in companies abroad to set up offices here.
Right.
So he was one of those. And this one he had invested in himself. Okay.
Jewelry.
Yeah, fashion jewelry for
Basically a production unit.
a production unit. Simple production unit. So I joined as the first ever designer there. I went, joined. So I started learning from the Italian guy who was there. And he used to speak only Italian. He couldn't speak a word of English. He has to add an interpreter following him everywhere. But I started another line of my whole journey to understand in a setup, design can work at all levels. From how to make something, when you carry an idea, what to do, how to do, where or not to do, all of that. From when I started as learning design, learning jewelry. So again, I have been slowly formalizing my design education by making things. Understanding that formal education is one thing, like understanding ergonomics, but when you design a chair, you don't remember, you make a chair for feeling, right? So that is the process of intuitive design has begun for me. Even jewelry was intuitive. So what happened was that this company in Florence ran into trouble. They were not buying back stuff. Now we had a production setup. So we said, iska kya kare? So we started our own line of jewelry. They didn't make jewelry, but we started our own line of jewelry, which I completely originated right there, made it to sell in the local market. We started making shoe trims to sell to the Chennai guys who make shoes.
Yeah.
Chota sa.
I let some things like that.
Little things. So we had a good setup. We had a plating unit. We had a making unit. So it was this nice small setup, Gurgaon.
Right.
And my office was here. And I would do the Gesdi to near Manesar to Green Park every day. Head office, factory head office. So in 2 years' time, from designer, I became manufacturing, plant head. From plant head, I was looking after marketing. Then I became general manager. In 2 years' time, I was even general manager.
At the age of 30, you became general manager?
Not even 30, 28 only. So I became general manager of the factory. So from a designer managing the task and also designing at the same time. But what happened was, we were pitching for businesses internationally and all that. I realized this fashion jewelry business, you have to produce 300 designs every quarter. How do you physically produce 300 designs every quarter?
In 90 days.
With 2 people. So what you do is you design one and you change 30 colors, you change 30 detailing, 30 30 what, multiply everything and you have 200 designs. I said, this is all. I didn't like For me, this was cheating.
Yeah.
For me, it amounted to cheating. My mental thing did not allow me that this is acceptable,
Right.
that this is 200 designs, because you just multiplied the number of variations and then it became 200.
200 SKUs.
But I didn't understand that. That's what they wanted.
Right.
But then I was getting khujli.
40,000 मिल रहा था, चुपचाप कर लेते.
तो तब तक तो सैलरी बढ़ी भी
हाँ, थोड़ी बहुत बढ़ गई थी यार.
जनरल मैनेजर
So,
बन
and
गए
then,
तो
you know, they had a sister concern called Oro Leather.
Mm.
So मेरे को leather भी काम करने को मिल रहा था. Right across the road, they set up a leather factory also. So I was doing that also. I was having fun. So leather, jewelry, everything. I was in good space.
Yeah.
I was living in Delhi. Davis and me were roommates. फिर डेविस का शादी हो गया तो मेरे को घर से बाहर निकाल दिया. And he went off to Italy. And we both had been thinking of going to Milan. Both, मैं शाम को दारू पी के तो सोचते हैं want to go to Milan and ये वो Milan में. And I was working with an Italian company, तो वो flavor तो you were understanding, no?
एक wish list बना था.
So, you know, you are understanding what making, in between this, okay, there's a little gap, okay, got to rewind, is at the time I was working at home in doing the jewelry and things like that, I did a project with NID cell here with a company called Oxfam, which is into fair trade,
Yeah.
okay, in the villages of Rewari. They're metal workers there.
Yeah.
Traditional metal workers who made utensils, no? The tateras.
Yeah.
So I did a 6-month project there. So while I was doing all that, I did that project to get some money and all that. So I would go and spend 2-3 months in the villages. And Rewari town, which is a small town there.
just further down.
That was the other metalworking I had gotten exposure to craft, tools, making, how that whole process of making. And I spent 3 months sitting there just doing this. So the understanding the ethos of craftsmanship, then working in a factory, where Italians came in, you know, and their ethos of craftsmanship. This whole thing was brewing somewhere, I guess. And so I said, मेरे को भी इटली जाने का है, you know, like tick the box. So in between, I applied and I got admission at Domus. Later on, realized that Domus gives admission to everyone.
Everyone.
You have the money. You have the money to go. They give you
I
admission.
agree with you on that.
Okay, so it was not a big thing. Okay, it's that time to apply also took a lot because you have to send postal courier, not couriers. You have to send it by post.
Right.
There's no FedEx in India, right?
Right.
You have to send it by post all the way to Italy to send it, and they'll send you a reply which will come in post. So, you know, the email was just beginning to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, 94, 95.
Right. Yeah.
So admission did not come via email.
Yeah.
It came via post. So I said, fine, I'm going to Italy. And I had no money. My father's from Air Force. He's barely living a retired life. And so I had saved up a little from 40,000 rupee ka job. And then my accident happened. We were not insured. So all my money went.
You know how he met with an accident?
No.
He was riding his Yazdi, ripping. He did not see a trailer was crossing by.
Trailer.
Yeah, so he went and hit his face
Oh.
on the side of a
I went underneath the trailer.
Uh-huh.
And the trailer guy said, fuck, this guy's died. He left the trailer and ran away.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and this is at 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
He left the trailer and ran. So this is very close to here only. There's Chhatarpur Mandir. 5 o'clock in the morning, one cop who had gone to give matha take at the mandir, coming back saying, why the fuck is the trailer parked in the middle of the road? So he looked. He stopped his Maruti Gypsy, got off, then found me underneath the truck at 5 in the morning.
Almost 4 hours later.
He took me to AIMS.
Hmm.
I had almost bled to death. But anyway, came back. So my mouth was wired. I already had an admission. So I'm thinking, should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I not go? So my friend said, go. So somehow I just mustered my courage. My mouth was totally shown up. I was talking like this. And I could only have liquid diet. My jaw had been re-stitched up. I had plates, all of that. I just went. So yeah, I went off to Italy. For a year I was there. I was at Domus, another beautiful experience of my life. Then I came back after 1 year because of course, my parents were alone here. They needed me back. Of course, all kinds of blackmail that they could have done, they did.
Plus the
Emotional
fear,
attachment.
plus the fear of marrying an Italian. that was a bigger one.
Probably, because ये लड़का तो हाथ से निकल गया. And you know how the relatives will get, बहुत अफसोस आपका बच्चा तो हाथ से निकल.
I can totally relate to you on that. I've had that same experience.
So, having worked for 5 years or 4 years, having had 2 education, now third, IIT, NID, now Domus. Milan is full of architects and designers. हाँ, जिसको देखो तो bartending भी वो architect ही कर रहा होता.
True. सारे designer ही हो.
Designer,
Fashion
photographer,
designer, product
fashion
designer.
everybody भरा पड़ा है. Everybody is willing to work for free.
All designers are there. All types of designers.
Everybody is willing to work for free. And here, I am saying, बस मैं 5 years experience, 3 degrees, मेरे को मतलब एक level का नौकरी मिलने है नहीं. You have to start bottom free. Can't afford it, man. I barely paid for my education. I had to borrow money from everybody left, right and center to stay there, to finish my education. I had kicked up a lot of loans also by that. And also, Ayashi to kar rahe, daru pine, bars, ye wo. So you know everything, you know. So then it was there, no? So I had a lot of loans on my head. They were saying work for free. And I was seeing most of the very few studios got to do original work. Most of them were rehashing old work. For you to stay there, to learn Italian, because my Italian was a bit rusty, okay? Yeah, but I didn't speak for 4 months. You know, my mouth was sewn up. So I couldn't speak for all I care. So I was not getting that. I was seeing a lot of opportunity back home. And my parents wanted me back. And then what happened was I had met Michael around.
Right.
So in the last time when I was working with this Italian company in Gurgaon, my friend Frankie was working with him. And Frankie brought Michael to do some sampling at our workshop. So Michael had come and we were doing some production for him, which was going there. So I'd met Michael a few times. And in fact, such a rascal I was, even before going to Milan, I borrowed money from Michael only.
No, so the 40,000 the na?
No, 40,000 not enough to go to Milan.
Right. Sure.
Okay, so I went to Milan with 3 months of living expenses and 1 semester fee paid. That's it. I didn't know where the rest 9 months.
And your mouth sewn up.
Yes. So by then, Frankie fought with Michael. Michael was looking for a replacement. So he, one fine day, landed up in Milan. He said, I'm at the airport. Come meet me. Sir, I need you join me. I had a job also.
Nice.
Now the 40,000 is going up. But not enough, okay? Because, the thing is, you had a job. But my dear friend from Colombia, he says, you come to Colombia, we'll teach in university there.
Hey, that must have been tempting.
Extremely.
मैं तो जाता. बहुत मजा आता.
Somehow I said, boss, okay, I have to do this. मैं वहां जाके आता हूँ. So I said, I'm just coming here. Just 2 minutes. I just go home, touch the feet and come, And yeah, they came.
It means सीधा कोलंबिया मतलब कोलंबियंस को तो देख के मैं
टेकने आया.
तो पेरेंट्स ने पकड़ लिया, सोचा इटली में बचा लिया, कोलंबिया में नहीं बचोगी.
He was sponsored by the Colombian University to come and study in Milan. Okay, so he came there.
You're
Going
talking
back
about
to
Michael.
teach.
No. Michael or Frankie?
This friend.
Ah.
No, this guy is Juan.
What? Okay.
Juan is now in
Another character.
yeah. He is in Illinois now.
Right.
He's teaching there,
Right.
but very close to Chicago. But so this guy was going back. He was going to teach. He says, "We need teachers. You come. We'll teach." I said, "Just come." Anyway, so I came back. I started working Michael. It helped me pay back my loans. In a year, I paid back everybody and all that. And Davis also had come back, and everybody was like, we were a nice bonhomie here in Delhi. So after 1 year, I said, I want to quit. I want to start off on my own. I'd just gotten married. So
This was 97, 98.
98. So I quit with 3,000 rupees in my pocket after having paid my loan, having a working spouse who was bringing the baker home. I had informed her that I'm going to be quitting. She's been my rock, my solid, she's supported me all the way, I said, fine. If you have to do what you have to do, you do what you have to do. So, and
But is your wife also a designer?
no, she's a marketing professional.
Okay.
Mukul was doing what he was doing, right? And we were having fun. I was having great fun. But I do feel that Shalini's presence was very omnipresence in that case. And I think everything, one is Mukul would have felt the support. But as an omnipresence, I feel that her presence also brought in some sense of order and discipline and
purpose. So you have to eventually find a purpose. So the thing is, 1 year later, I left with this in hand and I took a small space up. And so my first job order, so we just started making to order, like Michael was my first customer only. I went back to Michael.
And Michael's work also was to do with metal. And
Yeah. He's a famous Michael around, big guy in the business.
Why didn't you go back to the previous firm that you were working with?
Jewelry.
Where you were the general manager?
I think they were having troubles. And I wanted to do products. I didn't want to do jewelry. I wanted to find myself. It's a very weird and odd term, but
you're right. I mean, that is the expression.
See, because you're working for Michael, so you're creating for Michael. You're understanding what Michael would. So, what would Michael design for the market? You're designing like that, or what somebody. So, I wanted to design without any sort of latch, but yet I realized that every entrepreneur is not a free bird.
Yeah, true.
You're a function of your customers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but the fact is, I wanted to find myself. At that point of time, even Davis and Pankaj told me, when to join us, we'll, do this. So a couple of other people said, if you're leaving, when you come, we'll work together, we'll have fun. I said, no, this is my journey. I don't know, again, good light guiding me from behind. Said, in my journey, I will go alone.
So this is when Design Wise started.
This is Design Wise started in 1998. Out of my little one-room apartment in Hoskars. Lived there. And yeah, from there, that's where I designed. And the Founders' Day is 1st of July, only because that's the day I opened my bank account in the name of Design Wise. So it was just Design Wise as a proprietorship firm. The private limited and all that happened much later.
When did this guy happen?
So this guy is another interesting story. So my first product line I was selling to Michael, I was making. So I was just making products, So we had a small workshop, we'd get orders, we'll execute them, give it. So we're just making, and slowly we got more orders to make. Just makers. Every order's got a new machine, 2 more workers in the team kind of thing. So one of the last projects I did when I was working with Michael was drapery hardware, curtain rod.
What we see.
Yeah. So curtain rods, I saw that there was a scope for curtain rods, and we started designing, making curtain rods for the Indian market. Okay. And at that time, there was only Vista level ore, which is to make MS pipes coated with plastic. That was the only curtain rod in the Indian market. And here we're talking about brass and this and that. So slowly we put up in exhibitions and this and that. So there's this friend of mine called Shirley.
I was there when this was being developed. She made the Sculpey Bhatnagar.
Shirley Bhatnagar.
She'd just come back from Andret at that point of time.
Yeah. And she's an old friend of mine, ceramic designer. And she said, "Oh, Mukul, I want some work." So we're all young and starting out. And of course, I had curtain rod business going on simultaneously. So, and we were
So the brand Tatva
had started.
Tatva had started.
Tatva's happened in 1999 with a friend of mine who said, "Why don't you make curtain rods and sell it in India?" So we needed a brand. So we found Tatva. And we registered Tatva then, by the way. So she came and we were doing, our curtain rods business was picking up. And so we decided that she was doing something, and somewhere in this whole collaborative business, we said, let's do human forms sitting on top of curtain rods. So that's when the whole thing started,
Oh, we had stories, okay. There were curtain rods. There's this guy who's looking at the PQ, and in your curtain rod, basically in your room, in your bedroom, the story was how this guy is looking
like
at
a
what you're
gargoyle.
up to. Yeah.
Like a gargoyle.
Now, like a voyeur, looking at what you're doing. One guy sitting there with a fishing rod, he's fishing. One guy is like doing a pole dance there, like dancing on top of the thing. One guy is hanging to it. So we had a whole range of human forms interacting with the end of a curtain rod.
And what did you call him?
We didn't call him anything then. It was just a human form, and we didn't call. We're still finding our footing, right? At that point of time,
the figure was created by you?
So it was created by Shirley, but we were working on the project together. So like if she comes to me, okay, Shirley, let's work on something. And then she work, like if he was working with me and he did a project, so I was working with him, but he was doing most of the work,
See, there was a heart to it, there was a soul to it, and there was direction being given. And it is churning out new stories. This man is not, the idea was very dynamic. So the voyeur did not stay there. He became a fisherman and he became a pole dancer. And
so how that one person, so eventually you started translating yourself at the end of the pole. It was me sitting on the end of the pole saying, what would I be doing there? So I could be fishing, I could be dancing, I could be hanging, I could be doing 10 other things. So what am I doing there? So we did that, and we're trying to sell this curtain rod with this man sitting at the end, like a very sculptural form. Nothing sold. It didn't sell. It was an idea way ahead of its time. People were not buying curtain rods because they were using pelmets then. They're using pelmets now. In between was a whole curtain rod era. But they were then also using exposed curtain rods are not the thing. We're selling that. And on top, brass and sculpture? No way. There was no concept. People didn't understand that. So it just stayed there, and very disappointing, And the whole curtain rod business was growing, and we were selling it to more people across the country. Stored like in Bangalore was the first Drapes Avenue was my first store we ever sold curtain rods to. Okay, my first retailer to work with, So,
but I don't think he had the man there.
No, he had the man then.
He had?
Yeah, but it never sold. Probably would have taken it off. I'm talking about 99,
at that point of time, it was a bit ahead of its time.
Yeah, way ahead.
Yeah. But I think it did its job from the point of view that, see, it brought a smile to everybody's face. And
but the thing is, that's what it did. So what happened was we were primarily exporting. At that time, there's a company called Spiegel, which was Spiegel Inc., USA, which was buying curtain rods, and we were happily producing curtain rods and poles and everything. The birdie that you see here, that was made then. About 3-4 of these designs are from that time when we produce. They continue to sell well, because they're classics in a way, So we produce those, and then
the Fleur de Lis. The Fleur de Lis, it's changed versions as well.
Yeah, but it's still been there from there. So a lot of designs have come and gone, but these have still remained the backbone of the brand. So one fine day, Spiegel Inc. files Chapter 11.
Spiegel?
Files for Chapter 11.
Bankruptcy.
Right.
And my only business is them.
This was when?
So 2005, 4-5.
Oh, I had moved to Bangalore by then.
Oh, no, even earlier, maybe I think. And, that's when we started doing products and dhokra and all of that. And so one fine day sitting there, I just said, you know what the hell the man is doing there? We didn't sell him there. Let's take him out. Let him come down. So we brought him down. And at that point of time, I was starting to explore objects because we had to find other avenues to sell our products to. So we made a bookends with it, man. The first product we made was the bookends.
The one which we have.
Yeah.
Just a small thing that I want to touch upon here. Right now, you finished the education, you've come back, you've been working, life has happened. At this stage, were you calling yourself a designer, a manufacturer, or a businessman?
See, in my heart, I wanted to call myself, but I was running a business. Manufacturer, businessman is what I was because I was hardly designing. There were projects happening on the side. We were doing very interesting work. We did very good program in Dhokra. We did a great program with you. Happily Unmarried was happening on the side. At that point of time, the nascent times happened. The Sandas Ashpray happened with you.
I actually can speak about this phase. I think all of these things that were happening on the side is what kept you and us in some sense going because the creative energy that had to flow out was coming from there. But there was also the question
the
of survival.
The business was feeding it.
Yeah.
The business was only curtain rods.
Yeah.
If you remember,
Yeah.
It was only
we were trying things as well. We were trying to tie up with EPCH and buying houses. Some going through. So we started forging.
Everything.
Maneuver was also there, but it wasn't really about passage.
Because the reason why I ask is you have two design degrees, one from NID, one from Domus. And then when you're in this phase where you're manufacturing, you're actually manufacturing. And like you said, design is not really happening.
मजा आता है
but I'm just saying कि as a person, as a human being, generally, I'm just talking about the general perception from outside. कि there is this thing that design तो किया था, लेकिन अभी क्या कर रहे हो? That thing comes up somewhere.
So
if not for us, but for somebody else.
The designer in you can't stay sleeping for too long. There's always something happening on the side. You're always making something, even if you're not selling it. See, Happily Married was taking shape.
So ideas are getting generated.
So there was some idea happening there. We were doing.
The man went there as well. The man went there as well.
Yeah. And then the products were happening. One side, the craftsmanship of Dhokra was being explored, and that massive project we did right there.
That was beautiful.
Okay.
Good fun.
So, and then I was doing glass bottle lamps. We were doing lots of others.
Ceramic and leather combination.
So we did lots of
cups
experiments. But
the green lamp happened there.
Yeah, the bottle, the recycled bottle lamps. We did a whole project there, and we did an exhibition of just recycled bottle lamps. Just cut them and put bases and make lamps out of it. And it was massive, But the thing is that there was some creative thing happening at one side. And so business was just happening out of making things for other people. Okay. So so this was all happening, lots of little things. But okay, sustenance was have taken care of, And so suddenly when Spiegel filed for Chapter 11, we had to find other avenues. So we said, let's make a range of products. That's when the range of Mukul Goyal happened. So from Tatva was happening, it was selling from a few stores. It was not enough to sustain, say, 30, 35 people that we were working together with because they were the entire thing. And so we decided to make few products, pitch it to another set of exporters. So Cost Plus took some products. We did that Wales stapler and all of that whole stationery series.
You also did something for IKEA, those rings.
Yeah, that was by Chim, my friend Chim. She had done those things. We were pitching a lot, all over the place, seeing what products work, don't work, how. And so it was happening. It was a very turbulent, but a very lovely stage.
We tried mesh, bench, lamp.
वो सारा
Texture.
बहुत, it went through, and
Yeah.
it sold for a long time, till people seriously started complaining that I was poking them.
Yeah, but it's by a mesh, right? I mean, essentially.
So anyway, we experimented. We saw things were working, not working, furniture, this, that, everything. But we liked the idea of objects. I liked the idea of something in your hand. Meanwhile, this fellow started, the bookend started selling it. That was the only object.
ID bookend.
So it at one EPCH fair, one Spanish guy came, he bought a few pieces, then he bought a few more. But early days, so it was evolving. Then we started the whole Mukul Goyal thing. We started selling it from a French shop in Delhi called Next Shop. They started selling a few products.
Next shop.
Yeah, it used to be in next to Fab India and N Block Market in CP.
Okay.
Fab India, the main old store, the anchor store, the only store they had then. Now there are 1,000 stores, but that was the only store. They had 3 or 4 stores in the same market, and next to that used to be the Next Shop.
We were talking about this man.
Yeah.
How did he start?
So the
and
bookends
Mukul-
happened, and so bookend that. So there are many, like in all cases, no, there's so many parallel stories happening simultaneously. Your manufacturing is happening simultaneously. This bookend happened, so we started Mukul Goyal as a. Why Mukul Goyal? That was a huge story, by itself. I hated my name. First of all, I hated my name, Goyal. So I don't know why. I thought I was more than Goyal. Of course, as time tells you, kind of.
They're generally associated with business and not
So
art.
I'm not a business mind person, no. So then I didn't want my name associated. I wanted it to be a third party name, like Tatva we had got. But somehow Shalini said, you know what? It has to be your name. Like fashion designers have their name. I know she kind of convinced me that it had to be my name because there was no other way you're going to be able to build a brand. Okay. So I said, I very grudgingly agreed the name. So we started doing these products. Tatwa was taking shape simultaneously. So all these things were happening,
You also tried Mukul G
Yeah.
to take the Goyal out, and the G was that squiggle G. I have a card of his which says Mukul G. There's no Goyal in it.
Which is more corny than the anything else. Yeah. Anyway, so, all that was happening and I was like fighting a lot. So you resist a lot of things, but so these things were happening, and they continued. So Tatwa was continuing, and somewhere down the line, when we were making curtain hardware, I said, why don't we make handles? Okay, so yeah, you know what? It's the same process, same market. We didn't realize it's a different market. We thought it's the same market, but it's not the same market, One is a curtain shop who's a more sophisticated player. The hardware seller is not sophisticated, man. He's an MCBC character,
Yes. True.
Because he's selling hinges and latches to the carpenters every day. So there's no way he's going to be, bhai sahab aake baithiye lijiye.
In Bangalore, Parmanand is the only one that I know who has a little more premium setup
you
and he's
talk to him as
maintained
well.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's maintained it like that.
Yeah.
So no carpenter enters there. But generally, hardware stores are.
So that's the kind of dealing they have. So they're more hardcore people, So anyway, we just said, let's start hardware, curtain, let's do handles. And then from handles, slowly, we realized that, you just can't sell handles. And right now we were curtain hardware, we were the only people selling it. Suddenly moved into handles, the big daddy sitting there, How do you, and then you can't just choose sizes, no? 3, 6 inch, 9 inch, 12 inch. Initial ranges, we just made in 3, 6, 9, 12 inches and all that. Then we realized there's a system, 32 mm. You know about this, 32, 50, 64, 96, 128, like that. Why 32 mm? I haven't still found out. Okay, but there's a multiple, like A4, no? There's a multiple system that works for
8,
handles.
16, 32.
That is center to center, not the end to end. It's the center to center. So if you follow that, you can replace a old handle with a new handle and just tighten it in the same hole. Okay, so if you follow that system worldwide, you can replace handles easily. Where some people follow it, some people still don't follow it. Okay. But anyway, we learned this business. Then we also got into mortise handle, which we thought was an extension of this, but I realized it's a different
Yeah,
business.
it's a completely different. There's no connection between them.
No, none whatsoever. So it's a matching, but matching
Nobody
was not
wants.
happening.
Nobody wants matching for that. Yeah.
But anyway, we learned it differently. Okay. So we've grown and then we've made the large accent handles, main door handles, and all of that. So that that continues to happen. So a turnkey decision happened around 2008, 2009. That's one of the strongest decisions we had to do. So we had exports going on. We were making for good brands. We were making for Habitat. We were making for Eno. We were making for good brands. Okay. We were doing crate and barrel. We were getting a lot of business from crate and barrel. But I realized that's all subservient business. You have to go stand, make a dukan, stand there, the export, the buyers will come like this or like this and modify this, modify that. So basically
Somebody
rip
else's
your
version.
design apart.
Yeah. Yes.
And first of all, they don't know anything about design. They're just making business decisions. Okay. The buyers for whether it was Habitat or XYZ. And it was a very, you made to, as you're an exporter, you're a supplier.
You're a vendor.
You're a vendor. Okay. And there was no one-to-one. Okay. And I don't want that. I'm far more educated than the whole lot of them, and I'm not asking for superiority, but I'm asking for a one-to-one. But there was no point where you had any respect. There was no respect in the game. And my majority of my business was coming from there. And I was developing products for them, but I couldn't call them my own. I can't call those products my own because I was developing products based on photographs of copies of something, you modify it completely, but it was what it was. So 2008, we said we're not going to produce for others at all because we're not giving enough time to our own designs. We're not going to do. So 70% of our revenue, we killed off with one go. 70% of the revenue, we killed off by saying we're not going to make for others. We're just going to make our own design. We're going to develop our own work. It's not worth it because at the end of the day, what do I have to answer for myself? I don't have respect. I have orders. I have money. If that's what I want, then let's forget the fact that we're designers. Let's be producers, vendors, and just become big, no? But we had crossed that path long time ago. Whether you want to be a good person or you want to be a big person. In the business, you want to be a good business or you want to be a big business. And the paths are different. A good business can become big, but it has a function of time. Especially when you're starting and self-funded completely, Big business, you can sell all your soul, don't have to worry about any ethics, nothing, and just become big, no? That's very easy, right? You can do your hustling, you can even do as a good business. There's nothing wrong with hustling. But there are certain values you'll have to compromise to become big. So we said, no, we're going to be a good business. We don't want to be necessarily big in one day, but we want to be a good business. So that's the value chain that we had set in motion. So 2008, I think it was the most, of course, then you didn't have orders, you didn't have anything, so we scrambled. There was an explosion in number of designs, explosion in trying to reach. That's when we went and started exhibiting our product line internationally in 2008 and 9. We went to Frankfurt, then we went here, we went there. The Mukul Goyal range started taking shape slowly. So initially we went with that assortment of different designs. We started looking like any Indian exporter who would go there selling everything and anything. Then slowly that got sorted out. The range got more concise. We realized that the human form is doing very well for us. And we enjoyed making those products. So we started making more of those and that started selling well. So, of course, every time I make one human product, I'm saying, can I make something else which is not a human product? So I want to balance it, in that sense. I don't want it to be only about the human forms that we make, but that was good business, good identity, good recall. People knew us instantly, whether it was New York, whether it was Paris, whether it was Frankfurt. So we started developing that line of work. So we scrambled for Tattva and we scrambled for Mukul Goyal. So in the next 3, 4, 5 years, we were able to regain that 70% and more. The growth has always been like that. We've kept body and soul together. We've never been wanting. Of course, there are days you don't have money at all. There are days that's bad news. There are good days, but we've been out on the streets never. So because we did not have anybody else and we had no crutches to stand on, we made our own product line. Because we said we're not going to do other people's work. We're not going to produce for other people. Zero. So that we dropped because it was low margin work with no respect whatsoever. So in the 2008, 2015, that's when the whole ranges grew. We were exhibiting here. The ranges found their own place. Tatva found its own place. Hey, it came together.
So that's how you've gotten to be in 20, 30 countries selling the product as a brand of your own.
So there were so many times we were approached in Maison Objet. One guy came. So I'm like, oh, this is made in India. Why is it so expensive? We were cheaper than the others, but we were expensive. How many kilos is it? So we had to answer those questions, We had learned how to answer those questions. Says, okay, I'll give you a container full of orders. Don't take out your name for me. Take out your name. I'll give you a container worth of orders. No. Learning how to stand and say no. Learning to understand that you're a brand and not a commodity player. You're not manufacturer anymore. Very tempting to take an order for.
Especially when, you want that little liquidity in and you've been struggling for a while.
Very easy.
You mentioned that, on an international platform, everybody says, because it's from India, why is it so expensive? And while talking to Mr. Parminder also, it was the same thing. It was the same thing.
They want him to take out his name.
You take out the make in India, we are ready to sell it for you. What is it with the image of Indian art and craft or the Indian design community that results in something like this?
It's not that. So, see, India is not known for its Western creative aesthetic. Let me put it this way. Indian fashion designers are known to create their lehengas and your sarees and the bejeweled pieces. But how many Indian fashion designers have made it to the world stage with Western aesthetic? So there's a difference, We don't have, and in hard goods, we've had a problem with perceptual quality of things. We've not been great quality producers. That was the other aspect which we have grown. We've been anal about quality. We've been die-hard about quality. Quality is my primary motive for anything to exist. How many thousands of ideas have fallen aside if we were not able to make them in the quality that they desired? Never. Don't sell anything that you cannot be proud of. And we get repeat customers only because of quality. Design is only secondary, always, because it's our calling card. The products we sell, after 10 years, somebody come back and says, it's still working beautifully. I still have it in my house. It was not about obsolescence. It's about falling in love with something that you have. It's age-old values of owning something that you fall in love. So quality is not something that we were known for. Again, we didn't have aesthetic thing. So here's this age of new things. So when we first went to Frankfurt, we were put in the main exporter hall, along with all the exporters from China and Indonesia and everybody. We were in the same hall. We had to fight to be in the design hall. We had to call the director of Messe Frankfurt to come and visit our booth. The quality of the work, the merchandise, the display, everything. They gave us. We were the only Indian company in the design hall at that point of time. So we made those inroads, and two brown-skinned people standing at the booth It's not easy to sell to those people who are, there is racism. Face it. They're not here to just buy that. Of course, they are scared too. There's reverse snobbery happening there. If they don't know what to make of you. What they think is if they take this and tomorrow it breaks down, who will they catch? How will they approach you? You're nobody. So they need somebody who's local they can catch. So that's how distribution started for us. Those days, selling, Amazon changed the distribution globally, but that's 2018, 19. That's when Indian logistic chains started changing, right? Before that, we couldn't think of sending it globally from here, or they wouldn't buy it from us. You're talking about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, those years, 2000s. So we had distributors in so many countries. They were selling our products and they were buying bulk. We were selling half container. They would keep the product, would display it, would go there, show it with them. So the brand started picking up. Okay. Tatwa was selling from a few more stores. Then the handles business started picking up. We also started understanding the handle business. From where we were selling, then we differentiated the handles to cabinetware being a separate brand altogether and doorware being a separate category altogether. They can't be mixed. What we realized later, we didn't know this business. We just got into it for the sake of it, Let's make handles. We made bathware also. Then we had to withdraw bathware last year because, again, bathware is a function of the taps, of the, of your jacuzzis, of your ceramic ware, of
It's
your...
a technical field. It's a very...
No, but the field where we made decorative, towel rods, and toilet paper holders and things like that. But they were not matching with anything that was there. And a bathroom is one of the most corrosive atmospheres in a home.
Mm-hmm.
The kitchen and the bathroom.
Mm.
Kitchen because of the oils and this and that and everything. The Indian kitchen, the proverbial Indian kitchen. And the bathroom because of the levels of humidity, soap, perfumes, detergents, cleaning agents. They are all in the air.
Right.
You're battling a heavy load of corrosive agents. You have to function very well. We didn't have a problem achieving those quality levels, but we weren't able to make inroads to get enough quantities to sustain it. There was always the odd person who would come and say, oh, lovely, lovely, give me a few of these and few of this and that. But that's not enough to sustain a range. But hardware has grown considerably. Curtain rod has gotten more focused. So that's time, things will get changed over a period of time. Yeah. So then in 2013-14 is when suddenly another itch came to me. Is that I'd been working on the small scale for the longest time. My world was here. Very small. Maximum this big. I'd never worked in large scale. So one fine day we said, let's do large scale. I want to just try it out. Everybody around me was doing large scale. I had never done it. I didn't know what it takes to make a large scale product. So again, Shalini just pushed me, pushed me into it. I said, she booked a sculpture space at India Design. It was in February. We're sitting in December. What are you doing? Nothing. I don't have any idea. I don't have the time. Let's cancel it. No, you have to do it. Let's cancel it. So the marble, we had a small marble. It was an existing design. So I said, what if we had a massive belly? Huge bell. She said, go for it. I'll fund it. So we went and created this 11-footer massive marble. 300 kilos. She pushed her, she swings, and she has a gong to it, all of that, An interactive bell. We put her in India Design. It found its place. The people were loving it. And it's sold from the fair. If had not sold from the fair, I wouldn't have made large pieces ever again. But it was another training. What it takes. Your level of perfection at this, like when you see a watch, you're looking inside, outside, everywhere. You can't achieve that level of perfection in the large one, but we were doing that. And we were killing ourselves in the process. वो welding नहीं दिखना चाहिए. वो screw नहीं दिखना चाहिए. You know, all those things that are part of your thing.
As a small guy, when you go up, you're still looking at that fine line going.
But you can't achieve it.
Yeah.
So what do you give up? What do you keep? Scale is a different mistress altogether, you know. Suddenly, you know, we started doing larger work. So that's another line of work that kind of picked up over a period of time. The custom working, you know, custom working used to still come to us, you know. Somebody wanted a trophy, somebody wanted a medal. We did the Rajiv Gandhi Khel Ratna medal. We did lots of corporate work for small pieces. So that was coming. So design team always had something new to work on. We had our own projects, we had our own design, and we had our own 2 brands to feed. Now the large work started kicking in. So now that has also become a vertical unto itself, you know, the large scale projects that we are doing. Yeah.
I'd seen some staircase, helical staircase.
Then the work that we did in Bhuj, the Prabha, which is like 38 meters by 8 meters by 8 meters.
That was brilliant.
So we recently did a work for Patna Medical College, a 22-foot sculpture.
Right, I don't know about this.
I'll show you.
And you've also done something for the forest department where that footpath.
Yeah, footpath. I am Gurgaon. Then we did some, you know, concrete dustbins and benches. So, you know, we've been like actively looking and doing projects. Yeah, it's been great, right? So from
even
doing a piece of jewelry to a 38-meter sculpture, for me, the energy is still the same. Each piece that takes the same amount of energy.
You mentioned that the Indian designers don't have a Western approach or something like that. You said, why do we need to think of the West? Why can't we think of India and design for Indian community?
I don't see a problem for that. It depends. See, for me, it's like, unfortunately, our design education, our aesthetic education is completely Western.
Yes.
We have never been taught the Indian vernacular aesthetics at all. In fact, we look down on it, you know. But is design about a pattern? When you talk of patterns, they could be Indian patterns and Western patterns. But when you shred the decorative out of it, and you take the basic essence, so where is that part in Indian design? So a cart without the turning, but a straight leg, or the weaving of a moda, which is so stripped of frills, or a gamcha, white gamcha, which you can wear as a turban or wipe your face or to sleep on, you know. They are shredded from their frills, you know, of their decorative. So there is a decorative nature and there's a non-decorative nature. So we have not much grounding on those fronts. What it means to be an Indian. In me, as a own personal inquiry, it continues every day, what it means to. And I personally feel in every product that I make, it cannot not be Indian because I am Indian. If I create it with sincerity and honesty, there will be Indianness in the product that I make. Whether it's suitable for a Western population or not, I don't care much. I have never created for a marketplace. I've only always created for myself. I am the only customer I create for. Will I buy it when I go to a market? Is my only question. Will I appreciate the quality? Will I appreciate the price? I don't know. But in terms of quality, in terms of content, the product, I only make for myself, always. Never in my life have I once thought of anybody else to create for. So if I'm creating for myself, I'm in India. Now, it's a bit esoteric. It's a bit on the fringes of mainstream consumption because I am who I am. You know, I've never, fought against it. My only hope at times is there are enough fools like me who'll buy it, from that point of view. So I have not kept those principles. Am I creating for a market? I never created for a market. I've just created, period. So sometimes it works, but then creating for an Indian market is not something which is crossed my mind because I don't create for anyone, let alone even a Western market. I don't create for Diwali. I don't create for Christmas. I don't. I said, let's keep religion out of it. I know it's big business. But why does object need to be related only to a particular event? I don't have time for that.
When did Mukul Goyal transcend from a product designer to a sculptor?
I don't know. I don't think I'm a sculptor still. I I would not be so audacious to call myself a sculptor because I think I'm still a designer at heart. I think there's an artist in me somewhere inside, and I am translating that artist in me inside into objects or even pieces of art through eyes of design. So for me, in personally, for calling myself a sculptor, I need to execute the project in my own hands. That's for me, in my mind, there are a lot of interpretation between artists and designers. I think the artist creates the work with his own hands. Only then it's worth being called an artwork by that artist. Whether it's chiseling or whether it's sculpting and casting, you can take help for the casting. But when you're making the waxwork or the clay work, you have to do it with your own hand. But because there is a process of live interaction between the medium and the piece and yourself while you're making it. No, I want to make it like this. I want to change this. So that happens only, that's the prerogative of the artist to change. As a designer, I am creating it, I'm visualizing it, and I'm getting somebody else to make it for me. So then I am not the artist there. So yes, I still will think I'm a designer, but I'm probably creating non-functional objects or the objects which have more emotional and artistic function, whatever scale they may be. Because sometimes I am, even if I'm making a custom thing for a museum like Prava, it was thought with all the design, how will it communicate? What will it be? How will it be made? Does an artist ever think, how will it be made? No. He doesn't care how it's going to be made. Because he'll only work in the medium that he knows. I am working across so many mediums, technologies, but the meaning of art, design, and differentiation between all of this has changed over the years. But yes, as we did more and more projects, I would think I did more works in that domain of what we call the sculptors. But I will always say that I did it as a designer and not there was a thought behind it. There's a thinking, there's a feeling. What will it feel like? Even if I'm doing a human form, if I'm doing it for a custom project, always what will it communicate? What will it feel like? What will somebody else feel? Now, that's something an artist doesn't inquire about. Half the time I'm working as a communication designer in 3D. That's it. A lot of work that we do is about communication design, even if it's 3D. So it's that, I think everybody has an artist in them, like everybody has a designer in them. How they mix and match that, I think, is a different story.
Hey, I need to call you back to an occasion that we have spoken about. We had this long drive from a shoot that we had done, right? From Parikit studio or somewhere. And you, and Shalini, you were expecting Gauri. And I think she was in a third trimester or something. And you brought up this analogy of how giving life to a product.
It's like conceiving a baby. The whole idea is you had a little bit of fun. But the next 9 months is a lot of hard work,
Yeah.
And there is that whole thing. And you have to really nurture the baby before the baby is ready to be shown in the world. It's so delicate that you have to not let it be exposed to the world before it's ready. Otherwise, they'll kill it.
Yeah.
So the idea is something like that. And that, yes, I remember that.
The whole way we're just talking about how similar they are in process.
Yeah.
There's
And if you
pain, there
break
is
down the whole process of birthing, right from conceiving to, delivery and beyond, to how ideas take shape, you'll find a lot of analogy in it.
Yeah. I just want to, one small little
go for
thing
it.
I want to
Go
ask.
for it. Go for it.
I mean, there's nothing to ask. I'm just comparing Mukul Goyal with Anish Kapoor because I see a similar. I'm not sure if
No,
Anish Kapoor does.
I will protest on that, but you go ahead. Have you
No, I think
allowed
in
your
terms
take
of
as well?
in terms of the sculptures and I mean, there is a lot more he has to do. I mean, Anish Kapoor is already probably quite aged. I don't know much, but I think he's in his 70s, late 70s.
Whatever.
So, but the kind of work that he has done has put him on a world platform. I think you have the potential to.
So yeah, Mark, he's achieved, I think his universal fame, his universal appeal, and he's going to appeal to generations through his work because they're timeless pieces that he has created. He's a wonderful artist, I don't know whether it's comparison or whether I should have it or not have it. In my darkest moments, I probably will have some of those thoughts. I'm not saying that I don't have those thoughts, but I'm too involved in making for myself to worry about this. My worries are more basic. Where is the next set of salaries going to come from? And those remain as worries. I will tell you, those worries don't go away.
True, that doesn't.
They don't. My people are leaving. How can I keep them back? But one has learned over the years, right from this guy onwards, that, people will leave to find their own path, and there's no way that you can stop them. You left for finding your own path. Then why would you stop somebody else from finding their own path? There's no way. You just wish them best and you have to train the next guy. Those are my real worries. My worries are not about fame.
Yeah.
And since they are so basic in nature, they don't worry me so much. Fame is a bigger worry to have. I worry if my design doesn't do well. There are things that I have loved making, but they haven't done well. It disappoints me. Why is nobody else seeing in it what I have seen? But sometimes they just don't sell for not just 1 year, 2 years, for any of them. Maybe they didn't find the right marketplace or the right audience. But then maybe you can't reach it all the time, not to the right place. You have to give up sometimes, then okay, move aside, make place for the new. Those are worries at times. I worry if I'll stop creating one day. That's a more, and you go through phases and say, have I reached that day? And then something happens. I say, no, I'm fine. That's functioning.
You also feel, there are lots of times you see loads of people trying something, and then one fine guy gets through and he does whatever. And I think there's also this aspect of this thing that we throw around, this idea of being lucky. I don't know how to quantify that, but right place at the right time. And I would say that I think we all got equal measures of it. For example, what are the chances he did not bump into Michael Aram? I'm not saying that without Michael Aram, he would not have made it till here in life. But move one ingredient or a fraction of a time from here to there, and his meeting with Michael Aram would not happen. And there was this beautiful journey, camaraderie, where both became relevant. Paisa udhar lena se main tera company khada karta hu. You see, so there's a story there. There's an evolution there. There is partnership there of working together between two different railway stations in life, so to say. And was he lucky there? I would say that, hey, there is where luck was favoring both of them and they came together to do something. And after that, they moved in the...
But I would say one thing. I have felt, and I feel, okay, that what would Anish Kapoor have felt as fulfillment in his career, I don't think I've felt even an iota less of fulfillment, of creative fulfillment, as much he would have achieved. I would have created equal number of objects. Okay, I've made lots of small objects. He's created massive objects. But for me, energies have been the same. And I think creative fulfillment or fulfillment, period, forget creative or otherwise, I think I've felt no less. That joy is...
This is a great benchmark. I mean, I think this particular idea that, hey, am I fulfilled in what I do? ये फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि भैया मैं चांद पहुंच गया हूं कि कहाँ
Or will I have relevance 15
I
years
think
from
that's a
now?
great one. It's a good context.
So that for me, I think I have not done badly in, I think I have achieved that. And I'll tell you one thing, believe you me, still every now and then, maybe almost every month or every 45 days, we get a mail from somewhere in the world, sometimes from Peru, we haven't sold it Peru, or sometimes from Colombia, or from Mexico, or from New Zealand, saying, I have used your products and I love them. By God, you know what? Who in this world will take out time to write that I bought your product, I use it and I love it? Who? We buy so many beautiful things, we enjoy them. Do we ever take out the time to write to somebody that we like your product?
It must have really touched them somewhere.
And I feel that is my thing, man. That is something I take with me, and I'm so happy to have that. I can almost cry with that.
It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
So some guy from Peru did a shoot with my vase just 2 days ago and tagged us on Instagram. Now that's the new way.
Yeah.
They tagged us and he said Egyptian designer Mukul Goyal. Okay, so of course we had to cry. That's okay. That's fine. It's acceptable. Okay. A photographer from Tel Aviv photographed 5-6 of our products, posted it online, and tagged us in the process. Now that is the new thing that we are facing. So for me, for people having just done that, is great gratification that I've touched some people's lives. And I think I can't ask for more. I can't expect to touch millions of people doing the Cloud Gate in Chicago, which was brilliant, by the way. But the experience of experiencing Cloud Gate, but not far from Cloud Gate, just 1.5 kilometers to 2 kilometers, is the Flamingo by Alexander Calder. Sheer poetry. And next to it is a huge sculpture by Picasso. But Picasso is okay. But the Flamingo by Calder.
This is goosebumps.
Oof. But this is populist. That is more artistic.
Yeah. I hear you.
So, but Calder for me is one of the gods of the way he evolved the whole idea of mobile art and large sculptures and all of that. I think it's phenomenal.
What do you think is Indian design? Point one. Secondly, what do you suggest or wish, for that matter, the direction that it should take?
It's a question which has not been asked to me the first time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it's not something that I have not pondered on for the first time.
I'm sure.
Okay. You see, India is such a huge myriad set of complexities. It's impossible to distill it into one idea. What I do know what Indian design is not. Okay, we can define it by excluding things.
Absolutely.
To me, okay. Indian design is not the decorators. It's not the flowers. It's not the paisleys. It's not the Mughal motifs that people tend to translate so easily and say, "Ye Indian ho gaya." For me, that is not Indian design. But suppose you were to take that away from me, it's a very scary space to walk in. Okay, if I was to take away all the decoratives of Indian design, what is it? And heritage doesn't make design relevant to today's contemporary needs. If I take away the heritage of it, because if it doesn't make relevance today, it will not make relevance tomorrow. But if design a thought as a thought will make relevance today, it will make relevance tomorrow. So design thought of Indian design thought should have the strength of its own to become as relevant today and tomorrow. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Then the philosophy holds. Otherwise, if it's only for yesterday, so we have to de-link heritage. We have to, so decoratives will become part of heritage. Okay. So do we have that core body understanding that what is it that we really are working towards? And that's a scary part. So if we stopped looking there and saying, shit, man, I don't know what I'm doing about. Suddenly, even while talking to you, I'm like feeling scared that do we have a philosophy? But the moment you mull on philosophy, you've lost the plot. Instead, what I would do is continue creating with honesty and truthfulness. And somewhere, if all of us were to do with honesty, truthfulness, even with all the constraints that we have around us, beautiful constraints, paisa nahi hai, ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai, market nahi hai, falana, dimka, whatever. What will result is Indian philosophy in a given period of time. If you play, right, we have so many materials, so many possibilities, so many craft technologies, and not crafts. People worry about authenticity of crafts. I don't. I treat them as techniques, like dokra.
Right.
It's a technique. I can play with it. If I can play with it, I can create newer things. Keep the ethos of that alive. What I cannot create by machine, if I create by dokra, then it will always remain dokra. So for me, the thread work of dokra in complex forms is dokra and not the heads or the faces that you make. Those are transient. Because nobody will be able to create that outside the realms of the dokra craftsman.
Right.
And it will always keep taking newer shapes. You cannot say that is dokra, not dokra, and this is only dokra.
Yeah.
So if we continue to engage and play and to create with honesty of material, honesty of spirit, honesty of ethos, somewhere it will come together to create Indian design. Scandinavians never started with a philosophy. They created. Japanese created. Collectively, somewhere over a period of time, it became a philosophy. But we have been so anchored in heritage and the decorative rip-offs that we do that we have not evolved our own design philosophy only because we're only borrowing and not creating new, or not creating the sustenance of that philosophy that runs as a river in between, cutting through time. Even if you make board stuff with your own constraints, Basho, you're an Indian at heart.
Sure.
You will create Indian product. How will it all come together eventually? It's that common thread that we need to pick somewhere. So we have to learn to get rid of the heritage, the baggage of heritage at times.
Right.
Because that's all that the entire establishment promotes. They refuse to see anything new as Indian.
It's a very safe place to be.
What? I totally agree with you because, I mean, also everything is so visual and psychological. Like when we see something, we remember. And like you said, if you take away those elements, how do you even define Indian design and Indian design?
No, I really kind of overlaps with what Sangaru said, right? Sangaru said that, see, the moment you say I need to preserve something, it's static. It's done its time. Then every element in it is there. His job is to take that up and play with it, which means more often than not, he's going to do things that people don't like, he doesn't like. But it's evolution.
But the concept of the sari in itself as a 9-yard cloth, which you can wear in 28, that's Indian denial plus.
Right.
How, what manifestation it takes, whether it's a beautiful Bhagalpuri silk with just the weave, or it's got jari, it's got this, it's got that, whether it's in georgette or in silk or in cotton or in this or
Right, how you drape it.
now, for me, that is epitome of Indian design. Unfortunately, as designers, we are only one part of the whole chain. There is the people, the pundits, the establishment, everybody has to buy in that. Because we are not sure, we play safe. And you cannot play safe. So even in my work, there are elements out there wherein I play safe. I need to earn the moolah to do the other work. But I don't play so safe that, I completely, shortchange my ethos.
The brand Tattva can be seen without Mukul Goyal. But the brand Mukul Goyal, where does it see itself beyond the life of Mukul Goyal?
It's a question I've asked in terms of continuity, in terms of I often felt that I've done it great disservice by calling it Mukul Goyal. If it was any other brand, probably somebody would have picked it up and taken it and probably sold it. If I'm very lucky, somebody will pick it up and sell it as Mukul Goyal, like a Calvin. Maybe, whatever, But that's sheer luck. But if it was anything else and you just passed on the collection to somebody else, hey, you know what? Continue. The only royalty I'll ever ask you is make it in the same quality that I would like it to be made, and don't give me any money for it. But just make it the way it should be made. Probably somebody would still make money from it. So that's a problem. It's a problem that because Tatva, it doesn't own my name, or it can be packaged off to somebody who can make it, or it itself becomes bigger than what it is and continues to do work. It's a problem. What to do?
What would you like to say to the listeners, to the design community, for the younger generation today?
See, it's very difficult to preach to the youngsters today, especially because they seem to know everything already. But see, the problem is they are falling into the pitfalls of easy very fast. Easy money, easy concept. Google kya concept le aa gaya. But they don't even know what the word concept means, first of all, to create a concept. But and that's a problem I have with a lot of the youngsters who come. I say, what is the concept? And they don't know what the concept. So the issue is that they don't know what it takes to make an honest piece of original work. And that is something they need to understand to do it. And my thing to them is don't fall prey to the easy. Don't fall prey to fast food. Cooking has its own joy. So if you cook food versus just order from McDonald's, that's the difference. It takes painful. You might make it bad 2-3 times. Whereas McDonald's, you'll get a safe thing every time. So you're saying, I stopped cooking because I can just order in so easily. So, but then you have not found what you like to cook, what you like to eat. You're just eating what McDonald's gives you to eat, or any other fast food chain, or any other pre-cooked food that you can order from the market. There's no shortage of it, but you did not cook. And I think that is the essence of a problem today, is we have stopped cooking. It's so difficult that we've stopped cooking. And so if you don't cook, how will you become a cook? How will you become a designer?
Yeah.
If you don't make horrible food for 20 days at a row and eat it horribly, ये दाल तो गला ही नहीं है, चावल भी नहीं गला, पर मेरे को खाना पड़ेगा.
Yeah.
You have to learn to cook. And cooking, by the way, is the greatest human art ever. There's no better art form. It is the primary, other than sex. There's no other point of such immense gratification as cooking. So that's my message. Cook. Learn to cook.
What has your experience been in chatting with us?
It was very comfortable. See, I'm off guard. I can say a few things.
Yeah.
And I've used a few words which I shouldn't have in a public platform. But what the hell, So I'm so off. I'm amongst friends, in that sense, So I'm sure there are parts of the story which I've told you which have probably not been out there before. And there are parts of the story which I have told before. But since your questions were different, the answers were different. Like you asked me, what is my message? Now, cooking is something new that came up right sitting here. How to explain that question to you? Or whether you asked me a question on Anish Kapoor versus me, and I said, well, I have had equal amount of gratification. That's at least I hope so.
Yeah, that almost felt like you were being introspective, but that was great. I mean, yeah, the authenticity we don't question. I think you've been very authentic. You always have been, actually.
I don't see the point. After all these years, I don't need to put on a face. What is it that I'm trying to achieve now?
Sure.
So, honesty of expression it has to be true, right?
Thank you so much for doing this with us and finding time for us. couple of things that I take back from here is definitely design can become a business, which we've always been exploring. Can design and business go together? I think design and business can go together. The other thing was we get a very clear definition on artist and designer, where you mentioned that artist is an individual person doing what they're doing and the designer takes the help of executing the design. So that was a clear message that I got across. But that also does not leave the room for an artist to remain an artist. I think skill-based people or the artist should come out, get educated, thrive to become designers and the artist together. That's my take on it.
All right. So I'll thank you, Mukul, for finding time, of course. But I would have barged in anyways or fought with you if you had acted cocky. Thank you very much for being that guy for me. I have two interesting takeaways from you. Your perspective on art and design. I don't hear him like the way he hears it. I hear it differently. And I still see you doing a very mischievous dance, saying that kaun sa lega, main dono kar raha hu. So that's my take on you as well.
But do we need to ask that question?
No, we don't need to.
We don't, right? We can enjoy both together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the dance. And I love the fact that it's a tease. There's a dance happening. So one does that. The second thing was with his question of Anish Kapoor. I think I really like your response from the point of view, in some sense, this is how I heard it. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? मैं चौड़ में जी रहा हूँ और मैं खुश हूँ अपने काम से. And ये feeling मेरे को भी चाहिए. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. It's got nothing to do with the world. It's
No, but you know what? Yes, all those things do matter.
Yeah.
But eventually, one does realize it's a function of a lot of elements out there which you cannot control. But what you can control, at least do that much, na?
Yeah.
What you can't control, you don't. But what you can control, even if you give up on that, कि अगर मैं अनिश कपूर नहीं बना और कुछ नहीं बनूंगा तो, then you give up.
Yeah.
You don't live life wanting to be somebody else. That's the first level of honesty.
Absolutely. So I think that's one thing I take away from that. कि यार वो feeling चाहिए मुझे. Yeah. Comparison होती रही, and I might also get inspired by somebody else, want to be somewhere. All of that is okay, but अंदर क्या feel है देते हैं. And the third thing that I think is a very interesting perspective is your take on Indian design, that we may not have a crisp definition. We may have a few, in some sense, a framework of to say ये नहीं है, हम ये भी नहीं है, ये नहीं है. But as long as we authentically continue to be in practice of what we do as an Indian, that Indianness as an identity, as a definition, as a framework will crispen itself and slowly come to the fore. So in that process of collectively us practicing will give us this definition, like probably what we understand as Scandinavian or Japanese.
Yeah, so
design.
the definitions of these art movements or design movement is always in retrospect.
Correct.
They're not a manifesto that you start with.
Totally.
And if they become a manifesto, then they'll die up like a manifesto.
Absolutely.
Because they'll have a limited time life.
Right.
You can't have that, right? What we have not learned is to break our shackles from heritage. And that's our biggest problem.
We will discuss that in the next conversation for sure.
Right. So thank you so much,
Thank
Mukul.
you. Pleasure.
Give us a listen. Mukul Goyal on the Creative Spark Plug. If you like what you see and hear, do give us a share, follow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.